Chapter 12. Joseph is appointed husband of the Virgin. 4th of September, 1944. I see a rich hall with a beautiful floor, curtains, carpets, and inlaid furniture. It must still be part of the temple. There are priests in it, including Zacharias, and many men of every age, from 20 to 50 approximately. In a corner I can see Joseph. He is talking to a hale and hearty elderly man. Joseph is about 30 years old. He is a handsome man with short and rather curly hair, dark brown like his beard and his mustache, which cover a well-shaped chin and rise towards his rosy brown cheeks, which are not olive-colored as is normal in most people with a brown complexion. His eyes are dark, kindly, and deep, very serious and perhaps somewhat sad. But when he smiles, as he does now, they become gay and young-looking. He is dressed in light brown, very simple, but very tidy. Whispering spreads in the hall. They all stretch their necks and sharpen their eyes to see. Zacharias, who is near the table with the other priests, also endeavors to see, but he can see nothing. Joseph, in his corner, gives a quick glance to the bundle of branches, and when the man he was speaking to says something to him, he shakes his head in denial as if to say, "Impossible," and smiles. A trumpet is heard beyond the curtain. They all become quiet and turn in an orderly way towards the door, which is now completely clear as the curtain has been pulled to one side. The high priest enters surrounded by elders. They all make a deep bow. The pontiff goes to the table and begins to speak, standing up. "Men of the race of David, gathered here at my request, please listen. The Lord has spoken. Glory be to him. From his glory a ray has descended, and like the sun in springtime, it has given life to a dry branch which has blossomed miraculously, whereas no other branch on earth is in bloom today, the last day of the feast of dedication, and the snow that fell on the mountains in Judah has not yet melted, and everything is white between Zion and Bethany. God has spoken and has made himself the father and the guardian of the Virgin of David, who has him alone as her protection. A holy girl, the glory of the temple. She deserved the word of God to learn the name of a husband agreeable to the Eternal One. And he must be very just to be chosen by the Lord as the protector of the Virgin so dear to him. For this reason, our sorrow in losing her is alleviated, and all worries about her destiny as a wife cease. And to the man appointed by God, we entrust with full confidence the Virgin blessed by God and by ourselves. The name of the husband is Joseph of Jacob of Bethlehem, of the tribe of David, a carpenter in Nazareth in Galilee. Joseph, come forward. It is an order of the high priest." Joseph, blushing and embarrassed, moves forward. He is now near the table in front of the pontiff, whom he is greeted reverently. "Everyone must come here to see the name engraved on the branch, and everyone must take his own branch to make sure that there is no deception." The men obey. They look at the branch gently held by the high priest, and then each takes his own. Some break it, some keep it. They all look at Joseph. Some look and are silent, others look and congratulate him. The elderly man to whom Joseph was speaking before exclaims, "I told you, Joseph. Who feels less certain is the one who wins the game." They have all now passed before the pontiff. The high priest gives Joseph his branch in bloom. He lays his hand on his shoulder and says to him, "The spouse the Lord has presented you with is not rich, as you know, but all her virtues are in her. Be more and more worthy of her. There is no flower in Israel as beautiful and pure as she is. Please, all go out now. You, Joseph, stay here. And you, Zacharias, since you are her relative, please bring in the bride." They all go out except the high priest and Joseph. The curtain is drawn once again over the door. Joseph is standing in a very humble attitude near the priest. There is silence. Then the priest says to Joseph, "Mary wishes to inform you of a vow she made. Please help her shyness. Be good to her, who is so good. I will put my strength and my manly authority at her service, and no sacrifice on her behalf will be heavy for me. Be sure of that," says Joseph. Mary enters with Zacharias and Anna of Phanuel. "Come, Mary," says the pontiff. "Here is the spouse that God has destined to you. He is Joseph of Nazareth. You will therefore go back to your own town. I will leave you now. May God give you his blessing. May the Lord protect you and bless you. May he show his face to you and have mercy on you. May he turn his face to you and give you peace." Zacharias goes out escorting the pontiff. Anna congratulates Joseph, and then she goes out too. The betrothed are now facing each other. Mary, full of blushes, is standing with her head bowed. Joseph, who is also red in the face, looks at her and tries to find the first words to be said. He eventually finds them, and a bright smile lights up his eyes. He says, "I welcome you, Mary. I saw you when you were a little baby, only a few days old. I was a friend of your father's, and I have a nephew, the son of my brother Alphaeus, who was a great friend of your mother. And I remember the evening you were born. We all remember it because of the prodigy of a heavy rain that saved the country, and of a violent storm during which the thunderbolts did not damage even a stem of heather, and it ended with such a large and beautiful rainbow that the like has never been seen again. And I made a cradle for you, a tiny little cradle with roses carved all over it, because your mother wanted it like that. Perhaps it is still in the house. I am old, Mary. When you were born, I was beginning to work. I was already working. I would have never believed that I was going to have you as a spouse. Perhaps your parents would have died a happier death if they had known, because they were my friends. I buried your father, mourning over his death with a sincere heart, because he was a good teacher to me." Mary raises her face little by little, taking heart as she hears Joseph speak to her thus. And when he mentions the cradle, she smiles gently, and when Joseph speaks of her father, she holds out her hand to him and says, "Thank you, Joseph. A very timid and gentle thank you." Joseph holds her little jasmine hand in his short and strong hands of a carpenter, and he caresses it with an affection that expresses more and more confidence. Perhaps he is waiting for more words, but Mary is silent once again. He then goes on, "As you know, your house is still intact, with the exception of the part that was demolished by order of the council to build a road for the wagons of the Romans. But the fields, what is left of them, you know that because of your father's illness, much of the property had to be disposed of, have been rather neglected. For over 3 years the trees and the vines have never been pruned, and the land is untilled and hard. But the trees that saw you when you were a little girl are still there, and if you agree, I will at once take care of them." "Thank you, Joseph. But you have your work." "I will work in your orchard in the morning and in the evening. The days are getting longer and longer. By springtime, I want everything to be in order for your happiness. Look, this is a branch of the almond tree near the house. I wanted to pick it. The hedge is so ruined that one can enter anywhere, but I will remake it solid and strong. I wanted to pick it because I thought that if I should be the chosen one, you would have been pleased to have a flower from your garden. But I was not expecting to be the chosen one, as I am a Nazarite, and I have obeyed because it is an order of the priest, not because I wish to get married. Here is the branch, Mary. With it I offer you my heart, that, like it, has bloomed up till now only for the Lord, and is now blooming for you, my spouse. Mary takes the branch. She is moved and looks at Joseph with a face that has become more and more confident and bright. She feels certain of him. When he says to her, "I am a Nazarite," her face becomes bright and she takes courage. "Also, I am all of the Lord, Joseph. I do not know whether the high priest told you." "He only told me that you are good and pure, that you wish to inform me of a vow, and that I must be good to you. Speak, Mary. Your Joseph wants you to be happy in all your desires. I do not love you with my body. I love you with my soul, holy girl given to me by God. Please see in me a father and a brother, in addition to a husband. And open your heart to me as to a father, and rely on me as on a brother. Since my childhood, I have consecrated myself to the Lord. I know that this is not the custom in Israel, but I heard a voice requesting my virginity as a sacrifice of love for the coming of the Messiah. Israel has been waiting for him for such a long time. It is not too much to forego the joy of being a mother for that." Joseph gazes at her as if he wanted to read her heart. Then he takes her tiny hands, which are still holding the branch in blossom, and he says, "I will join my sacrifice to yours, and we shall love the Eternal Father so much with our chastity that he will send his Savior to the world earlier and will allow us to see his light shining in the world. Come, Mary, let us go before his house and take an oath that we shall love each other as the angels do. Then I will go to Nazareth to prepare everything for you in your house, if you wish to go there, or elsewhere if you wish so." "In my house. There was a grotto down at the bottom. Is it still there?" "It is, but it is no longer yours. But I will build another one for you where it will be cool and quiet during the hottest hours of the day. I will make it as much as possible identical to the older one. And tell me, whom do you want with you?" "Nobody. I am not afraid. Alphaeus's mother, who has always come to see me, will keep me company during the day. At night I prefer to be alone. No harm can befall me." "And now I am there too. When shall I come and get you?" "Whenever you wish, Joseph." "Then I will come as soon as the house is ready. I will not touch anything. I want you to find it as your mother left it. But I want it to be bright and clean to receive you without any sadness. Come, Mary, let us go and tell the Most High that we bless him." I do not see anything else, but I feel in my heart the sense of confidence that Mary feels. Chapter 13. Wedding of the Virgin and Joseph. 5th of September, 1944. How beautiful Mary is, dressed as a bride, among her joyful friends and teachers. There is also Elizabeth amongst them. Her hair no longer hangs over her shoulders. It is arranged in a knot of plaits in a charming style, and precious burnished silver hairpins, all made with embroidered filigree at the top, hold it in position. Her mother's veil is placed over the plaits, and it falls in beautiful folds under the precious thin plait that encircles her snow-white forehead. The veil falls down her sides, and since Mary is not as tall as her mother, It falls lower than her hips, whereas it reached Anne's waist. She has nothing on her hands, but is wearing bracelets on her wrists. Her wrists are so thin that the heavy bracelets of her mother cover the back of her hands and would fall to the ground if she tossed her hands. Her friends gaze upon her and admire her. They twitter gaily like sparrows, asking questions and expressing their admiration. Are they your mother's? They are antique, are they not? How beautiful, Sarah, this belt is. And what about this veil, Susan? How refined it is. Just look at those lilies woven in it. Let me see your bracelets, Mary. Were they your mother's? Yes, she wore them. But they're of my father's mother. Oh, look, they have the seal of Solomon interwoven with thin little branches of palm and olive trees, and amongst these there are lilies and roses. Oh, who did such perfect and refined work? They belong to the house of David, explains Mary. The women of the family have worn them for centuries, when they get married, and they are left in heritage to the heiress. Certainly, you are the heiress. Did they bring you everything from Nazareth? No, they did not. When my mother died, my cousin took my trousseau to her house to keep it safely. Now she has brought it back to me. Where is it? Where is it? Show it to your friends. Mary does not know what to do. She would like to be kind, but she is not anxious to pull out all the things which are so nicely laid in 3 heavy trunks. Her teachers come to her help. The groom is about to arrive, they point out. This is not the moment to cause confusion. Leave Mary alone. You are tiring her. Go and get ready. The chattering group go away somewhat sulkily. Mary can now enjoy in peace the company of her teachers, who say words of praise and blessing to her. Also Elizabeth has come near, and as Mary, deeply moved, is crying because Anna of Phanuel has called her daughter and has kissed her with true motherly love, Elizabeth says to her, Mary, your mother is not here, and yet she is present. Her soul is rejoicing with yours. Look, the things that you are wearing are giving you her caresses once again. You can still find them in the flavor of her kisses. One day, a long time ago, the day you came to the temple, she said to me, I have prepared her dresses and her trousseau, because I wish to be the one who weaves her linens and makes her bridal dresses, so that I shall not be absent on the day of her joy. And listen, in the last days when I was assisting her, every evening she wanted to caress your first little dresses and the ones you are now wearing, and she would say, I can smell the jasmine perfume of my little one, and I want her to perceive here the kiss of her mummy. How many kisses on this veil that is now shading your forehead? There are more kisses than threads. And when you will wear the cloth woven by her, just think that it was woven more by her motherly love than by the shuttle. And these jewels, also in hard circumstances, they were saved by your father for you, that you might be beautiful in this hour, as befits a princess of the house of David. Be happy and cheerful, Mary. You are not an orphan, because your parents are with you, and your husband is a father and a mother to you. Such is his perfection. Yes, that is true. I certainly cannot complain. In 2 months he has been here twice, and today he has come for the 3rd time, facing the rain and the windy weather, to take orders from me. Fancy, orders from me, who am a poor woman and much younger than he is. And he has denied me nothing. He does not even wait for me to ask. I think an angel must tell him what I want, because he tells me before I can speak. The last time he said, Mary, I think that you prefer to stay in your father's house. Since you are a daughter heiress, you can do so if that is your wish. I will come to your house. However, in order to accomplish the rite, you will go for 1 week to my brother Alphaeus's house. Mary already loves you so much. And from there the procession will start that will take you to your house in the evening of the wedding day. Was that not very kind of him? It did not even matter to him if the people should say that he has not a house which I would like. I would have liked it, because he is there and he is so good. Certainly, I prefer my own house because of memories. Oh, Joseph is so good. What did he say about your vow? You haven't told me yet. He made no objection. On the contrary, when I told him of the reasons, he said, I will join my sacrifice to yours. He is a holy young man, says Anna of Phanuel. The holy young man is coming in just now in the company of Zacharias. He is really magnificent. All dressed in gold yellow, he seems an Eastern sovereign. A splendid belt supports his bag and his dagger, the former of Morocco, embroidered in gold, the latter with a Morocco sheath and gold decorations. On his head he is wearing a turban, that is the usual piece of cloth worn like a hood, and is still customary amongst certain people in Africa, such as the Bedouins, and it is held by a precious ring, a thin wire of gold, to which there are tied some small bunches of myrtle. He has on a new mantle with fringes, and he wears it with great dignity. He is sparkling with joy. He has in his hands small bunches of myrtle in bloom. Peace to you, my spouse, he greets her. Peace to everyone. When he has received a reply to his greetings, he says, I saw your joy the day I gave you a branch from your garden. I thought I should bring you some myrtle which I picked near the grotto you love so much. I wanted to bring you some of the roses that are already beginning to bloom near your house. But roses do not last long. After a journey of several days, I would have arrived here with only the thorns. And I want to offer you, my dear, only roses to spread your way with soft, scented flowers, so that your feet may rest on them without touching anything dirty or harsh. Oh, thank you. You are so good. But what did you do to keep it so fresh? I tied a vase to the saddle, and I put in it the branches of the flowers in bud. During the journey, they have burst into flower. Here they are, Mary. May your forehead be garlanded with purity, the symbol of a bride, which, however, is much inferior to the purity of your heart. Elizabeth and the teachers adorn Mary with a little garden of flowers, which they form attaching to the precious ring the little white bunches of myrtle, and they insert small white roses, which they take from a vase placed on a small chest. Mary is on the point of taking her large white mantle to put it on her shoulders, but Joseph precedes her and helps her to fasten at the top of her shoulders with 2 silver buckles. The teachers then arrange the folds with loving care. They go through yards and porches, among the crowds that watch them, up to a point that is not the temple, but seems to be a hall used for ceremonies, because there are lamps and rolls of parchment as in synagogues. They go as far as the tall lectern, almost a desk, and they wait. The others stand orderly behind them. Other priests and curious people gather at the end. The high priest enters solemnly. There is whispering amongst the curious crowd. Is he going to marry them? Yes, because she is of royal and sacerdotal rank. A flower of David and Aaron, the bride is a virgin of the temple. The groom is of the tribe of David. The pontiff joins the right hand of the bride with the right hand of the groom, and he blesses them solemnly. May the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob be with you. May he join you and fulfill his blessing in you, giving you his peace and numerous descendants with a long life and a happy death in the bosom of Abraham. He then withdraws as solemn as when he entered. The promise has been exchanged. Mary is Joseph's spouse. They all go out and they orderly move to a hall where they stipulate the wedding contract in which it is stated that Mary, the daughter heiress of Joachim of David and of Anne of Aaron, gives Joseph, as her dowry, her house and the estate attached to it, her personal property, and what she has inherited from her father. It is now all over. The vision ends thus.